Welcome everybody. Today's edition in our holiday series for the Jersey Baseball Show. We've got former Sandlot legend, current UCF star, Central Florida, Connor Staine. Connor is North Jersey. We'll kind of go through some of his high school escapades, talk about his time post Sandlot transfer, or actually time in the Cape Cod League. Transferred down to UCF for this year, how he seems to be enjoying the warmer weather than we have up here. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the obstacles Connor's dealt with along the way as well. Connor is has Tourette Syndrome. Talk about, how he, recognized that, some of the things that he's had to deal with, how he does, and, get some messages out to some of our younger guys, how, on overcoming obstacles, putting themselves in a great position to succeed. And hopefully we hear our name called this summer when it gets to draft time. So welcome, Connor. Good to see you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ocean. Thank you very much. Happy to be here and excited to get the show on the road.
Absolutely. So let's talk weather first of all. Now that we're down at UCF, I know you were complaining about it being in the low 60s today, feeling a little bit cold, but what's it like being sunny and beautiful and wonderful every day and being able to play baseball?
It's great. It's wonderful. I mean, especially being from the north, you're not accustomed to it. So when I first got down here, it's like, man, I really gotta stay hydrated, because by the first week of just individuals, I was sweating more than I ever thought was possible. So that was a tough transition, but it was awesome. It's amazing. Our entire fall, not a single, maybe once I had to wear a sweatshirt outside because it was a little chilly, but I got a good farmer's tan and it's almost December. So there's no complaints here. That's, something I really, really looked for, and it makes your arm feel great. So from a baseball perspective, it's even better.
For sure. Now, yeah, I mean, that's never really been an issue for you. You said you hit up to 98 in the fall here, and still getting close to what we all think is possible. And that's the triple digits, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a velo spike since we've been here. Like I've hit, around those numbers in the past. Last year I did a couple times, hit sevens, but everyone talks about it and everyone knows, the fall, everyone's bodies are still getting accustomed to throwing, and we throw a ton, but the spring is where you see guys kind of really light it up. So I'm hoping that when the spring rolls around, I'll be sitting consistently, 94, 96. Maybe 94, 97, and hit a couple of triple digits over the course of the year. That's a little milestone I'd like to achieve for myself, amongst other things. But I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Definitely something I would put in my trophy box in my head.
Absolutely. So we'll, going back a couple of years, right? West Morris, state championship. Obviously first 2 years at Maryland. This past year, certainly some ups and downs. I guess probably an inconsistencies in the best way to say it. But take us from there to really going up to the Cape Cod League. Being in the transfer portal at that time, really needing to have a strong summer to find your next kind of step in the journey. And from there, how you really were able to go out up to the Cape, show what you can do, and how that got us to here down to UCF. And what a great program they've got there. And you can see why people are saying if somebody's, just outside of that elite level that's going to make it to the, supers or the World Series, they're always on the list.
Yeah. I mean, going all the way back to, high school, which is slowly starting to feel like an eternity. I can't have complaints about high school. I had a great high school career. I had a great situation I was in. Obviously, my dad taught at my high school, made things a little easier, especially transitioning as a new kid. Come back sophomore year, get a little better. We're 7-17. Junior year, we flipped that script to 17-7. But it was just that mindset. Like we all had a feeling we could win a sectional title. So for us going back and just getting to my senior year, we all knew we had something in us to achieve it. Obviously, Aidan Healy, who, when was at Furman, VCU, now Rollins, kind of similar approaches to what I had. Nick Calabrese, Breezy, playing at Angelo State and then transferring to Mercer, and now he's at Ranger, who, I keep in touch with him every day. He's doing great down there, really standing out, which I couldn't be happier for him. But that was awesome. Winning that championship first in school history. People tell you close the yearbook, but you can't for stuff like that. I'll always hold that close to my heart, on top of, certain things like playing in the Morris County final against Jack Leiter. I mean, first off, kudos to that guy for being, second pick overall. Just absolutely outstanding, college career. He's the guy I like to chase after because he's, same area, played him a couple of times, been around him as, for a long part of my career. So couldn't be happier for him, but it was really good. So, heading into college, I was definitely big fish in a small pond in high school, and you transition to college and you're a small fish in an ocean. And hard transition sometimes. So, I had my hard transition my freshman fall, ran into some problems academically and athletically. I had to rebound, I had struggles. I was off the team in the fall. I don't know how out there that's been, but you can't hide the truth, so you might as well air it out. I had some problems, was not on the team in the fall. My coach actually said I have like a 1% chance of being back on the team when, I had my talk with him in the fall and I was suspended. And I was like, all right, fine. Like I gotta show my worth. So, I worked my tail off, got my grades up, took 2 winter classes, got my grades up there as well. Came back in the spring, worked my tail off in the weight room on the field. And, freshman year, I ended up having either the most or second most innings out of relievers as a freshman, sub 3 ERA, really, really good year. Unfortunately, COVID cut it short. But, that gave me time to, play in the Sandlot League, have a good time there. Got to play with my buddies from high school, Aidan and Breezy, which was incredible because, we never thought we'd play with each other again. So that was fun. And then from there, it was just great. I got to work harder, got to get stronger and bigger. I was still a twig at that point, but it is what it is. I was definitely feeling better.
It looked like you had room to fill out still. I mean, there was no question, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still do, but I'm definitely weighing in a lot more than I used to. But, going into my sophomore year at Maryland, a little bit more buzz around my name, which is always nice. Got back to campus. We worked hard in the fall, had a good fall, whole team looked special. We knew we were capable of something. And we get into the spring, rough, rocky start. We go 1-3 against Michigan State. I think for us, it was like it was a dark horse story. Like we had a really rough first half of the season, and then we just turned it up the second half of the season. I mean, we almost won like if not won, every one of our series that we had for the second half of the season. Like it was just incredible watching the team, being in 10th place in the Big Ten at the mid-mark, people kind of just discrediting us, saying we're out of it, and us thinking we got something special here because it wasn't one guy. It was the whole team working their tail off to be there and want to do something special. And, we make our first regional since 2017, make it to a regional championship, and, we just fall a little short. It was a great game, really good time playing at ECU. I mean, they had like 11,000 fans at like one of their highest records. It was unreal. The caliber of electricity that was at that stadium, but at the same, it's something I won't forget. Win or loss, it was incredible. But I want more than that. So yeah, we get to the Cape. Really awesome time, great teammates. I think I had, the best coaches around. They just, they didn't pressure you. They didn't make you do anything you didn't want to. It's tough. You got, 20 pitchers who all are fighting to be starters and who are all starters at their schools and whatnot. You kind of just got to go whatever role they give you. But the team was great. I mean, we went up and down. They end up winning, end up winning the Cape Cod championship, which is awesome, getting some nice rings for that. But it was great. It was kind of that minor pro baseball feel to it. At the field every day, maybe one day off. And on that day off, you typically don't take it off. All the guys are there for the same reason. We all want to make it to the next level. And the coaches, it's on you. Like the coaches are there, but no one's like calling you at 1 o'clock if the game starts at 2 and you're not there. Like if you're not there, it's a reflection upon yourself. So everyone was working hard. Some guys stayed, some guys left. I personally left, with maybe like 5 games left in the regular season. So I wasn't there, unfortunately, for the postseason, but I couldn't really do much about it. But it was awesome. I had a really good time down there, had a good season. And then that was important, especially for getting into another school. Because once you hit that transfer portal, I'm pretty sure when I entered, because we were in regionals, and I hadn't told my coaches, obviously, because I needed to have that conversation with them, not in season.
Right.
There was 1,300 kids in the portal, and you're thinking, yeah, there's probably some star players in there for sure, but I wouldn't have considered myself a star player at that time. I had a rough season, and it's hard to sell yourself aside from velocity that, you belong at a program. So I knew I had to have a good summer. Fortunately, I had a good one, and had a couple big schools that were really interested. I think it came down to UNC, Florida State was another big one. There's a couple West Coast teams, and then Texas Tech was another big one as well. So it was really, really cool going through that process again, as much as it was tiring, having to talk with some SEC and ACC programs and just not knowing where you'd fit in. It was also awesome. It brought me back to, high school and how much fun that was. So finally, I'd been wanting to go to a Florida school. I wanted somewhere south where I could be warm. And, I had my teammates, Alex and Hunter, who both play at UCF. They were talking to their coach. I'm like, listen, man, like whenever he wants to have a call, like I'm ready for it. I'll take it whenever he wants. And sure enough, talked to Adi, the pitching coach, a couple times. Pretty normal recruiting conversations. And then I get a call from Love at the field, and I'm like, all right, I got to take this one. So he calls me, answer it, gives me an offer. And it was toward the latter half of the summer. So, it was kind of things winding down because I was taking as much time as I could, and gave me an offer. I talked to, my family and a couple other people, and, let them have a conversation with him as well. It seemed like the right fit. And I just hit the green light, literally 6 hours later, told him I'm on board. So whether or not people want to call that impulsive, I just call that, things happen for a reason, right place, right time. I was ready to make that move, and now I could not be happier with where I'm at.
Yeah, I think you kind of spend the whole summer preparing for it. I wouldn't think that was impulsive at all. It's when you do all your thinking before the big moment, it's not impulsive. It's kind of the opposite, right? Like you've thought it out already.
No, yeah, I mean, and now I honestly could not be happier. Like I don't think there would be anywhere I'd be happier at with how much we work. And this is no discredit to Maryland. It's a different environment. Like, I mean, you always find guys on teams, or just want to be college ball players, or, just want to fit in, or just want to play because it's their last chance to kind of play the child's game before getting a real job. But I mean, everyone here works their butt off. Like nobody wants to be average. And that's from start to finish. I got there and we're doing individuals. I'm thinking it's going to be light and easy. I finished my first workout. I'm like, I have no clue how the heck I'm going to make it through this winter and this fall. Like, it's just a totally different dynamic. So it was a good shock to the system. We work hard every day. The coaches are great. And I mean, just the stuff we do, like there's no wasted time. We don't get in there to waste time. We have our lifts in the morning, and now in the winter, our lifts are a little heavier and a little bit longer. I mean, I was in there this morning for probably an hour and 45, but there's no wasted time. Like you're not messing around. Everyone wants to get to work. Jeremy, our strength coach, is friggin' a stud. And like, I wish, I'm happy I have him, because once pro ball hits, I know who I'm coming back to for my strength training.
Yeah. And it's in Florida. Did we mention that?
Yeah, right? I don't know if we said anything about Florida yet.
I mean, I don't know. Aidan ended up in Florida, and Breezy ended up in Texas. So I just feel like you guys, you were probably too soft weather-wise, and just to get down somewhere warm, all three, I guess.
Yeah, Breezy's got that tough skin, so he didn't have a problem with the cold in Jersey. But I know damn well he's loving it down there in Texas, where it's still 85 degrees. And, same with Aidan.
And he's got some Texas blood in him anyway, so he wanted to
Absolutely.
go kind of back home, I guess we would say, for him, really.
Oh yeah, that he loves it down there. He's always wanted to be in Texas. That's why he was at Argyle first. Coming back to Jersey for him was he just needed a place where he could play and promote himself again. And it worked out. It was great for him. Mercer's a very good community college. They did right by him, and he did right by them as well. He got what he needed done.
Yeah.
He accomplished what he wanted to there. He's got a school he loves, and he's back in Texas. So, I mean, he couldn't be happier. I know Aidan is absolutely ecstatic with, where he's at in his program. I know they've been done for a little bit now. Typically those schools do end a little earlier, but he's loving it. I talked to him. Not as much. It's just so busy. It's hard to keep in touch with these guys, but
Yeah.
we've been all talking more since we're all coming home soon. And, it's going to be great doing that, get back to the high school and work out with all of them again. Hit up Total Arm Care with Drown, get a pitching in, and then just catching up for the first time in, probably 6, 7, 8 months, which would be I haven't been that far away from my friends and family for that long, probably ever. Typically it's, a couple months I can drive home because Maryland's 3 hours away, but now it's, don't want to take a flight. No, I hate flying during this time. And not to mention, like, I have my car down here. Personally, for me, I'm driving up the coast when I go home for winter break, because I'm going to catch my mom in South Carolina, then go catch some friends in Maryland. And then, I'll make my way back to Jersey around the 14th or 15th to see everyone else. But, yeah, to be honest, like I couldn't be happier with my situation. The distance sucks for my parents and friends and all that, but they all understand and they all are on my side and back me up 100% on it.
The good thing now is it's so easy to watch everything on TV, at least.
Yeah.
They'll still get to see, they'll see you probably more than they want on the mound anyway.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your main goal now, or goals, between now and the end of the season, draft day, to really, is it a consistency thing? Is it just working to get better every day? Is there a specific, kind of thing in your mind or level in your mind that you got to get to? How do you approach it this off season?
Yes, I mean, there's obviously, it just as well as everyone does. Like, there's no stopping. You can't take a break, especially if you want to put yourself in a good spot for the draft. And I have my eyes set on a certain round for myself, and that's how everyone is. Everyone has eyes set, but it's not my my number one goal right now. My number one goal is to just keep getting better. I want to put more weight on. I want to get more consistent. I had some things this year where I had to, look from another perspective, not just from your own, because sometimes looking from your own perspective, you don't see things. So I had a couple good conversations with some people. We just talked about what needs to get done. Everything's looking really good. There's some flashes of some big time stuff, but you got to work on, you can never be too consistent and have too much command and have enough control. So that's a big thing. I want to work on that as much as possible. There's a lot of stuff I'm doing with Adi to work on body control and functional strength. And obviously, I want to have a good ERA. Like, that's a big thing when it comes to the season. And on top of that, I just want the velo to keep, progressing. When the velo progresses, as everyone knows, the harder you throw, the harder it is to hit, especially if you have good stuff to back it up. So those are some primary goals personally, but for the most part, I want to win. Like, I don't care what it takes. Obviously, I want to go as deep into games as possible and be, that dude. But I just want, this team made, their conference tournament last year for the first time in school history. And that's, younger program, younger school, but that's still a long time. They've been around since, I think the 60s. So that's a big step for them to, be in that position in the conference championship, and just to fall short to a team who, made a good run in USF. I don't want that this year. I want us to be that team who's going to win the conference championship, put that ring on our finger, win the I-4 series that we have between us and USF. And I don't have anything against USF, but I'm at UCF now, so I hate you guys for the most part. And that's just how it is. That's how I play. That. Everyone knows that.
Right.
But I want a conference championship, and I think this team has the capability to do something really special and make a run for the College World Series. And, most people won't know that. I think I'm in a similar position in regards to us being a dark horse as we were at Maryland. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. We have another pitcher, Will Saxton. He's a lefty, 5th year, but he's a lefty who's up to 97, big time arm. He's, got a lot of stuff going on with scouts and pro people and stuff like that. And, we got a crazy good infield. Our outfield's looking good too. I think we're going to make some noise, and that's going to be from the start of day one on our opener against Siena. But I think there's something special here. And I think that's just, that's my biggest goal, is just, I want this team to win. And once the season's done, then I can have those conversations about money and rounds and what teams are the best fit and who wants me more and who's going to give me the best opportunities in the minor league affiliates and stuff like that. But, until June kind of rolls around, or July, then my biggest goal is just whatever I can do to help this team win. That's all I care about.
Absolutely. After the break here, we'll take a short break, but Connor was diagnosed with Tourette's at age 9, and we'll talk with Connor about some of those obstacles, how we can, how young guys can overcome things, belief in themselves, and get that message out to everybody. You're watching the Jersey Baseball Show with Connor Staine. I'll be right back after this.
Don't you know, pump it up, you got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up, you got to pump it up.
Back here on the Jersey Baseball Show, we are here with our special guest, Connor Staine, former Sandlot legend, now at the University of Central Florida. Happy to see his strong fall and getting ready to see if UCF can take over the state and do what USF did. We finished with them last year and maybe take that last step. And I hear Omaha's a pretty nice place in June. But did want to talk about one very important thing. Don't know that everybody knows, but Connor was diagnosed with Tourette's at age 9. Wanted to talk about that, some of the obstacles that caused, or I guess what happened that led to that. How that's impacted you, how it's affected your ability to kind of handle adversity, realize that, you're capable of anything, and what we want to get out to, people who are, either in the same position, trying to play or dealing with something else in their life that people might, look at them a little bit weird or say that, you can't do this or you can't do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously diagnosed at a young age. My dad was not diagnosed because Tourette syndrome wasn't a thing, when he was young, but
Yeah.
I've had conversations with him all the time, obviously, father-son bond stuff. And we've had conversations where, he told me he had kind of this similar situations where he just couldn't stop. Like his big thing was like sniffling and stuff like that. And, grandma, obviously in that time, she wasn't, sure what the heck it was. So for her, it was a little bit difficult to kind of comprehend. And obviously it was harder for her to understand, but now she does, and now he does. And being diagnosed at a young age, my parents kind of picked up on it with like me kind of making a hum noise. They thought I was just like curious about something when I was watching TV, because I'd always do it then. Sure enough, my dad kind of picks up, it might be Tourette syndrome. Go see Dr. Gold, a doctor in New Jersey when I was young, very young. Might even have been before I was 9, but I know that I was diagnosed this time. And he kind of just ran through the whole test, I was there for about a couple hours. And sure enough, I wasn't aware of what it meant when I was that young, but my parents were. He offered medicine. My parents were completely against that, especially my dad, because there's a lot of side effects to those things. So for me personally, it's just become a part of who I am. Like I'm very, very confident with it. Obviously, a lot of people know the tattoo on my arm. If it's easy to see, there's the Relentless and the T and the S are in teal, which are the national colors for Tourette syndrome. So, it's branded on my body for the rest of my life. And I'm more than happy to be somebody who has Tourette syndrome and be able to be an advocate for anyone who has Tourette syndrome or other disabilities or disorders that, they feel don't make them different, but just make them special in the best way possible. And that's kind of how I've taken it. People ask questions all the time. My roommates are great about it. Everyone I've been around, I really haven't had problems, especially, when I got into high school. Obviously, it's harder for younger kids to really comprehend it. So when I was in middle school and stuff like that, you're going to run into a little adversity, a little bullying here and there, but took care of those things. My dad, has been my rock for it, since I was a little kid. He used to come in probably, when I was from 2nd grade to 6th grade, he'd come in every year. The school was more than happy to do it. He'd come into the auditorium, talk to about, a couple hundred kids every time, let them know what Tourette syndrome is. Almost every single kid's first question is, am I going to die because I have Tourette's? Because no one really knows what it is.
They don't know. Yeah.
And of course the answer is no. It just makes you a little different, but I'm more than happy to have it. I run through some struggles here and there, but I think the biggest thing is just, you got to deal with it. Like you can't change the situation you're in, and I'm nowhere near the situation other people are in. Yeah, I've had my ups and downs. Yeah, I run through struggles with it. And sometimes it hurts me. Like sometimes, the other day I tweaked my neck because one of my neck ticks. all right, so be it. Got to keep moving. But no, a lot of people look at it as a burden. I look at it as a blessing. It adds some more substance to who I am, and I'm proud of that.
Definitely. Now, you moved to a new school, school to start a high school. Was that the toughest time for you? Just, I mean, knew everything too on top of that, or was that, was that when you were younger and maybe kids didn't really know and thought you were different? I mean, we know you're different, obviously, but but not that way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
when was the hardest time for you, and how did you deal with it?
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely around that time. I probably would say freshman year of high school. Like you said, I'm moving to a different school, been around the same kids for 10, 12 years, even longer, 14 years. And moving, it was just a big culture change. So, I have to make all these new friends. I've already reiterated to everyone at home who I knew, what Tourette syndrome is, how I
Right.
got it, what I'm going to be like when I'm on it. And it was definitely a hard time just because it's, you don't know how kids are going to react. And being a new kid, there's a lot of substance around who you are. So, when you kind of have something like that, maybe shy some people away. Obviously for me, like certain emotions increase the response in my body. So it's a neurological brain disorder. So the neurons start firing more rapidly when
Mhm.
I either have high levels of excitement, anxiety, nervous, happy, sad. So all your major emotions can cause an influx of how many ticks you do in a day. So yeah, when I first got there, it was a struggle. But the best way I dealt with it, and my dad kind of taught me this at a young age, is you just have to be like confident with it. It can't be you shy away from it. First thing I did my first day, a few days in high school, obviously you have 504 plans and stuff like that to inform teachers. But
Right.
every teacher I had, I introduced myself, let them know I have Tourette syndrome. They all obviously knew what it was since being in the teaching community. They've dealt with stuff like that before.
Mhm.
Um, and they're all, welcoming with it. And then as time went on, the more friends I made, the more people I grew close to, they all were super, super loving and caring about it. So I guess for me, the biggest thing that helped me deal with it is just confidence. Like no matter what you have in anyone's situation, whether it's, me being the guy with Tourette syndrome and a couple other things like, OCD and ADHD, like you just gotta be confident. If someone asks you about it, like you can't get offended by it. If someone says, what the heck's wrong with you, or will you stop? Just be polite and let them know you can't. Like it's just who you are. Um, and I think that goes for every kid who's got anything going on. Like just as long as you own it, there's no one who can tell you otherwise. And that's just something that I think I'm more than grateful for my dad teaching me that at such a young age, because a lot of people lose that sense of confidence when they realize, the older you get, the more you understand how things are, you start to lose that confidence because you are different. But that's far from what I am. If anything, I'm proud of it, and I couldn't be happier to have my dad be the one to teach me that.
Yeah, it's part of who you are. It makes you the person that you are right now. Um, yeah, you hear of people who have it that they're artist or a musician or a baseball player or whatever. When they're going through their periods of extreme focus, they're playing their sport, they're doing their music, or whatever it is, it kind of goes away. Or is it something that you, when you're on the field and you're so focused and you're so tunneled in on pitching, that everything else kind of slows down as it is, and you don't have those ticks?
So I think for me personally, it's more so that it doesn't run through my head as much. So when I'm, in my room, like right now, like I know as I'm speaking to you, my brain's also firing. So I know for me, my blinking ticks are a big one. So I know when I'm blinking, I know when my neck's firing. I know when my hands are tapping like this. I know when it's all going on, almost like multitasking. But when I'm on the mound, my roommates actually pointed out to me when we were playing Stetson for our fall scrimmage at home. He said before one of the pitches, and it happened to be like a 97, so he thought it was funny. But like I cracked my neck like this and rolled my neck, and I didn't even notice. I personally just had no idea. But sure enough, I did that. People say, they notice my blinking ones, and it's because it is a high intensity situation. There's a lot of stress going on. But to answer your question, I don't personally notice it, and I don't know if that is it almost like subconsciously like subsiding for me from the time being, but it's almost like I don't have to worry about it because there's so much more to focus on and a lot more things going on that there's no time for my brain to send these signals like, hey, you got to do this or you got to do that. It almost like bypasses asking and it'll just do it. Thankfully, nothing ever happens when I'm in like a set position or anything like that. At least I've never had that problem yet. But I think it really is just something where, you know, you just get so laser focused that if it happens, you don't even know that it's happening. There's just so much more important things that are going on that you can't, you know, let your mind wander and start thinking about that because you got a batter in the box who is trying to hit a baseball as hard as he can off you.
So I guess the advice then to someone who is younger and would find themselves in a similar situation, or where they feel different or you know, left out or something like that, or you know, alone, is just be confident and be yourself.
This goes into the whole social side of things. And, you know, I'm not that type of guy, but, you know, I went through being in, you know, the no friend list when I was very young. And, you know, I think that's just how it is when you're a kid. You know, it's harder for younger kids to deal with it, but that's when, in my opinion, it's more on you to be really confident in who you are. Because at that age, kids are just so naive and no one really knows what's going on. Like everyone's just going day by day, you know, who's got the coolest lunchbox and stuff like that. But, you know, I went from not having many friends, having my close circle. And then I went to high school and I made friends with my entire high school. And part of it, I'm almost positive, is due to the fact that baseball has been an outlet for me. But I would like to think that the confidence had a big thing to do with that as well. And people being understanding. The more confident you are, I think the more people are just going to be accepting of who you are, because, you know, if you're proud of what you've become, then how is someone going to tell you anything differently? So, yeah, I mean, I think for any kid out there, you know, who watches this or finds any amusement out of this, it's just, you got to have confidence, and that radiates to people. You know, confidence is a mental thing, but that radiates off of you almost like you're smiling and you don't even have to be. So I think any kid who's got anything going on, you know, that's definitely the way to approach it. And if they have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them and help wherever I can, because you know, I want to be able to help as many people as possible. And that's what, you know, I intend on doing if I get an opportunity to be on a high platform. You know, I want to have my own foundation, want to do fundraisers and stuff like that. So, I mean, whatever I can do to start setting up that foundation for people to kind of look at me as somebody they could come to, I'm more than on board.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate the time as
course.
always. Always good to talk to you, see how you're doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I really appreciate the time. Obviously, it's always good catching up. You know, hopefully I'll get to see you and some of the other guys when I come back home. Obviously, that's, you know, the plan, see as many people as I can. But no, I really appreciate the time, and you know, go Knights, charge on.
That's right. All right. Our guest today, Connor Staine, UCF. Certainly a pleasure to have him on the show today, Jersey Baseball Show. We'll see you next time.